And we should be live. Welcome everybody to another live stream repair. Give me just a sec to catch up on everything here and we'll get started in just a sec.
There's a problem with the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. Silence. Nobody. Literally nobody. Apple HomePod.
I'm having Wi-Fi issues.
And then the cat. Come here, Atlas. Come here. Come say hi to the people on stream. You're gonna get picked up. Let's say hello. Alright, down you go. Alright. So, we've got quite a few HomePods in today, in case you didn't catch the title. 5 to be exact. So what we'll be doing is, these are actually the 2 HomePods that we left off with during yesterday's live stream repair. And we left them plugged in all day, and
There's a problem with the Wi-Fi.
They're still working just fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to first actually start with Todd and Josh's HomePods that have no power. We're going to get those 2 fixed up. And then we'll move on to Eddie's HomePods, which are these 2 and a third one that I just got in from him. And then that should be it for today. So, alright, let's go ahead and get these bad boys out of the way. We'll come back to these later. Alright. And let's unbox Todd's HomePod here. Theirs has no power. Should be a pretty straightforward bunch of fixes for us here today. Nice. I like it when the tape plays nice. Lets me reuse the bubble wrap. Bubble wrap ASMR. Alright, let's yeet that power cable. Let's get that other camera up here. Oh. Come on. Don't freeze on me. Please don't freeze on me. Don't do this. I need you. Don't kill my stream, OBS. Don't do this. Alright. Let's try that again. What is going on? Uh-oh. What's going on with my camera? No, do not close OBS. Wait for it to respond. Oh, please. Oh, Lord help us. Alright, we're going to have to fail over to the Wi-Fi here, so let's see how well that works for us. Alright. Without further delay, let's crack this HomePod open. Continues to delay it. Get out of here. Alright. Very nice. And I just realized we didn't test this yet, so before we get too far into this, let's go ahead and plug it into power really quick. I'm sure we all know what's gonna happen. Alright, cool. So obviously no signs of life, about 5 watts being drawn at the wall, so let's continue with the teardown here. And I've got a bunch of screws here left over from those other HomePods, so we'll make some room to save those. Get out of here. There we go. Very nice. for the woofer test. Feels nice and smooth. Voice coil looks nice and coppery. And it smells good. Everything checks out. Let's get on up close there. Where's my hooker? Ah, here we go. Be free, little amplifier. So let's take a closer look at the primary suspect here. Based on experience for these no power repairs, I know exactly what to hone in on here. Given that we saw power being drawn at the wall, about 5 to 6-ish watts, and the fact that we saw power draw at the wall tells me that it's not likely any sort of fuse that's blown, because if a fuse is blown, then it's going to completely cut power to anything. So you're not going to see any power draw at the wall. It's just going to be a completely open circuit. Because we see power being drawn at the wall, we can reasonably suspect that we've got a short somewhere. And again, based on experience, we can usually assume that that short is coming from this diode on the amplifier. And the reason why this diode can short out and cause the whole HomePod to become unresponsive is because your logic board isn't getting its power directly from your power supply. The power actually has to come from the power supply through the amplifier and then to the logic board. So if the amplifier's taken down, then it's going to take the logic board down with it. So that's why you see this sort of behavior when it's just a short on the logic or on the amplifier. That's why it also affects the logic board and pretty much everything on the HomePod. So let's get our multimeter turned on here, and we'll just double check real quick that this diode here is in fact the source of our short. Alright, so it doesn't matter what polarity you use for your probes here. Just stick one of them on the bottom pin of that diode, and the other probe, go ahead and test each of the tiny pins on the top. and if it's shorted, then both of these will beep at you, and you can pretty much conclude that this is your problem. And sure enough, that diode is very shorted out. Also, we can see the diode's got a bit of wear on it from running hot, and it's got a date code on there of 1748K. So generally, for every HomePod that comes in for repair, I just go ahead and replace this diode regardless of the problems it's coming in for, because we don't know for certain why these diodes tend to short out and fail. Just based on what I've seen, the diodes with 1748K and 1746K seem to be the ones that fail most often. It doesn't mean that this is, the telling tale right here. Like, it simply means that there are more of these that I'm seeing in HomePods. So it's not. I'm not sure if what am I trying to get at here? Oh, geez. So pretty much, just because we see all these diodes failing with just this date code on it, doesn't mean that the diodes without this date code aren't also susceptible to the same type of failure. We're only simply seeing the ones that come in for failure, and we have no idea how many of these specific diodes were used across all HomePods. If they used this same part in most of them, then of course we're going to see more of these ones fail, and we're going to see fewer of the ones with the other date codes fail. In any case, let's stop the rambling and let's go ahead and get this board fixed up. Get our hot air turned on and all that. Hey, welcome to the stream, Eddie. We still don't have any running water, but we're living large. Get that into the graveyard, and let's break out a fresh new diode. If you want to know what parts I use for my repairs, I've got all that information and more at my website, nixfix.com. Up there. And drop that on in. Nice and careful. Nice and easy. You were surprised with the results. Yeah, tell me about it. I've gone through hundreds of these now, and I've never seen anything like that still. Yeah, they all work. None of them have flashing volume buttons issues. After I replaced the display on that one that had the top damage with the flashing volume buttons, it worked just fine. In the black one was the one that I thought had the flashing volume buttons, but it seems to be working just fine. And it stayed running all night, so I don't have any reason to believe that that one will have any issues. But regardless, for each of the ones that you want to keep, we're going to take all of them apart, and we're going to replace the diode on all of them, and then we're also going to check them all for DC offset, and if any of replace anything that needs to, pretty much. So, okay, that's all done. But yeah. The decision's totally up to you. It doesn't make a difference to me if you want 3 and wanna give me one of them, or if you want all 4. Doesn't make a difference to me. Going for the 3 and 1 for me. Sounds good. We'll do, so then you're going to get back the 2 white ones and the black one. And we'll dye one of the white ones red, and we'll dye the other one dark blue. Sounds good to me. I like it. Alright, let's get our meter connected to that woofer there so we can measure for any DC offset. Alright, that's got a nice connection. So this bad boy is ready for a test. Yeah, we got power. We got power. Okay. How much offset do we got? We've got 20 millivolts. Seems to be dropping a little bit. Probably a little bit of residual heat inside of there. We'll hang out for just a sec to make sure that doesn't go too far anywhere. What about your pro camera? I didn't see working. My pro camera. What pro camera are you talking about? I did get this toy in. I finally got my Cat S62 Pro. This guy comes with a thermal camera built in, and this will allow us to more easily locate shorts on our various boards. So this isn't just necessarily night vision, this is thermal imaging. So this will allow us to find the spots on the board that run hotter than the rest, which basically usually indicates where your shorts are at. I've already taken a couple of videos here. This is one of my car's engine. I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, after, it only took 3 tries, but we finally found an eBay seller that knows what they're selling and sent us the right phone. So this will be a really handy tool to use when we dive deeper into some of those other boards that we haven't figured out fixes for yet. But anyways, so we've been hanging out here for a while, and our DC offset's hanging out at about 26, 25 millivolts. So far below the 50 millivolt typical target that we like to stay under. So we're not going to concern ourselves with any DC offset repairs on here. Seems to be holding pretty solid. Let's go ahead and get this bad boy all the way back together, and we'll move on to number 2 for today. Looks like my multimeter camera seems to be acting up. What are you doing, little buddy? How you doing, little guy? You doing alright? No, you're not. You're having a pretty horrible time, aren't you? To be fair, you have been running non-stop for weeks, so... Oh wow. All right. Well, we can live without the multimeter camera. That's no big deal. Let's get this guy put back together. Bye-bye. Yeah, that's exactly why I bought it. I wanted something that was just all-in-one device that I could that basically runs. It does run Android, but I wanted something with the flexibility of Android that would allow me to bring the phone with me and do some cool stuff without worrying about wires or dongles or anything like that. And it also makes it really easy for me to share and copy the media off of it too, as opposed to like a dedicated infrared handheld camera that's like got an SD card and all that jazz. And I can share the screen on it to my OBS stream here and show you guys what I see on the phone directly too, live. Wow. I gotta figure out an elegant solution for that, because right now I've just tried out a couple of free apps and they work well, but I gotta find which one I like the best and then pay for it. Get rid of that. watermark and ads, you know. Surprisingly, very few options for wirelessly streaming your Android screen to a PC for like OBS. At least anything that's got any sort of decent latency. I tried RTMP streaming, but that's horrible. Looks great. Horrible latency. Alright, does that have a nice seal? Yes, it does. Alright, alright, alright. Let's see here. Let's get this powered up. Yeah. I'll go ahead and show you guys a little trick here. Let's add a window capture. And there we go. Now you can see my screen. And there's our HomePod. And there's another HomePod. And there's my phone. And I always think this looks neat. Alright, how's our HomePod doing?
I'm having trouble connecting to the internet.
Alright,
I'm
alright.
having trouble.
Everything is in working order. So let's go ahead and unplug that, set it to the side, and move on to Josh's HomePod here. There we go. Here's Josh. Alright, let's double check Josh's HomePod here and see if it's indeed got no power. Yes sirree, no power, and about 5 watts being drawn at the wall. So most likely the same thing that we just saw on that last HomePod. Let's get it cracked open and fixed up. Oh, and I see a nice little crack on the top here. So we'll want to be careful working around that. Go ahead and start right under there, so alright, got that off easy peasy. This one's gonna put up a fight, huh? Oh boy. This one's not opening. You will. You will open. Goodness. That one was tough. Alright, woofer check. Feels good, nice and smooth. Voice coil looks to be in good condition, nice copper color. Smells good. Everything checks out. Just trimming back some of this adhesive on here so when we go to put this back together, it doesn't interfere with the way the basket sits down. This one was pretty well glued together, so of course there's a whole bunch of extra glue everywhere. That should work. And here we are again. Let's see, we got 1746K on that diode there. So this one's almost certainly shorted out. Let's check that. Yes, indeed. Very short. We like our diodes and capacitors here tall. We do not like short ones. All right. Alright, is our multimeter camera back up and running again? Let's see here. Or has running the cameras for months at a time straight on this phone finally killed it? Oh boy, I think it's toast, boys. We're gonna have to go old school here and just bring the meter down here. That's okay. That is all right. That is what desk space is for, right? Using it. Well, of course the subwoofer is shorted. It is a straight copper coil. Alright, do we have a decent connection? Yes, we do. Let's power this on up. Yeah, 2 for 2. And very nice. We've got 3 millivolts of offset here. That's a pretty chill result. We can live with that. Let's get this put back together. Move on to Eddie's HomePods. Hey, welcome to the stream, Juan. That's the string to hold tension on the mesh cover. Yeah, so the string doesn't necessarily hold constant tension, but it does keep it from loosening up and coming out of place here. The magic string. Oh, and one other thing about that string. When you're wrapping it around these posts here, this isn't holding any tension. You don't want to wrap these like super tight. You're literally just wrapping the screws are going to be what actually holds the string tight per se. Once you screw the drawstring down, then you just wrap the slack around these posts here. But you shouldn't be using the posts as the actual part that holds the tension. That should be done by the part that the screw holds down. Just so you know. You can, yeah, these will easily break off. It's not the end of the world if you know, at the end of the day, if you break these, you can just stuff the spare drawstring in there. So long as your screws are still good, they can hold the tension on your strings and keep this mesh nice and tight. All right. What she got? Drum roll, please. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. So, just do one loop around the screw as soon as it comes in here. Tighten it down. Tighten both of them down. And then whatever way works best for you, just wrap that slack around those posts there, and you're good to go. So just be careful you don't over tighten the screws for this drawstring here, because these strip fairly easily, the threads here. So go gentle on them. It just needs to be snug. It doesn't need to be super tight.
I'm having trouble connecting to the internet. I'm having...
Yeah. That's a happy HomePod. Okay. Second HomePod fixed. Let's break out the third HomePod here from Eddie. We have brain activity. I like that. All right. I love the use of paper towels for packing material. That's creative. Granted, Eddie did not send this in from him. He bought this off an eBay seller and had it shipped directly to me for repairs. So, you know, consistently, I see the products and things bought and shipped from sellers off eBay packed in significantly beat up boxes with poor packaging consistently. And usually people that send their HomePods in for repairs, they pack them pretty well. But then you go and you buy something from somebody, and lo and behold, they completely miss the mark on shipping and packing. Alright. Let's power this puppy up. let's get our text status updated here. This one does have power. However, it's got popping. So the eBay seller said that this one has loud popping and noise issues here. Ooh, yeah, that is a pop. I don't know if you heard that right before I woke it up, but it popped pretty healthily here. Let's go ahead and unplug it from power and listen for the pop again. Oh, yeah. So pretty classic symptom of too much DC going into the woofer here, causing that popping sound. That is caused by a couple of capacitors on the amplifier board starting to go bad and allowing too much DC to go through the amplifier and then sent straight to the woofer. So, okay, weird question. HomePod constantly spinning on many of the show I've seen with you. Is that a decoration? This is Mr. Brick. Say hello to Mr. Brick. This is a HomePod Mini. I bought a lot of like 4 or 5 broken HomePod Minis from the same seller, and 4 of the 5 all worked perfectly fine. They were all described as no power, but I plugged them into my Mac and they were stored without a problem. This was the only one that I couldn't get working again, and it seems to be some sort of faulty software on the logic board or some other hardware logic board issue. I wasn't able to restore the software on it, and he's been sitting here for as long as you've seen him on stream, just boot looping. And maybe one day, Mr. Brick will be a happy little HomePod again, but until then, he serves here as a little indicator for me and for you guys that my live stream is still going. So, alright. Let's crack this bad boy open and do some DC offset repairs. Just if you're still watching, Eddie, this one is also in rather fantastic condition. Almost on par with that first white one, but I mean, this one's pretty flawless too. I don't notice any dirt or any scratches on the top here. Looks to be in excellent condition. Work our way under both of those layers there for the display. My thick fingernail isn't able to get under there and unlock that connector. Oh yeah, my wife did my nails a few days ago. She did like a bus seat kind of theme there. 90s shapes. My nails feel great. Like if you've never gotten a manicure done before, you don't have to get your fingernails like polished and put pretty stuff on there. But like just go and get a manicure sometime. It's your hands will feel brand new again. And it's functional too. Like my with this extra, with these extra layers on my nails, they don't bend as easily. They're much stronger, so it's easier for me to. It's actually easier for me to work on things with them. Alright, let's save this HomePod from the DC offset of death. It's a good thing we got it while we did, because if this problem is left ignored, then soon enough we'll have not just a DC offset problem from the popping and the death farts, but we'll have a cooked woofer too. We do not want DC going into our speakers. And I do not do a great job of explaining DC offset or DC bias in audio amplifiers, so I would suggest, if you want to know more about that or get a better understanding of it, just do a quick Google search. Hop on Google or DuckDuckGo or whatever thing you use and search for DC offset in audio amplifiers. And you'll find a wealth of plenty of very good explanations out there. Far better than what I can do for you. Oh, yep, Henry, that's a good point. I actually use isopropyl alcohol and Q-tips for small spots on the mesh. And like you said, for larger areas, I'll just douse an entire cloth in rubbing alcohol and just give the whole thing a wipe down. Does wonders for cutting through any of the crud stuck on there and getting it out. You just got to be careful. You don't want to scrub too hard, because then you can end up starting to separate the layers of the mesh and it'll start to look funny. Oh, this one's coming apart real easy. Very nice. Ah, very nice. We needed the break. Ah, look at that. Too easy. Oh, sorry, bumped into you guys there. It's the best stuff, man. And it, it's good for cleaning the top touch cover too. Don't have to worry about it eating up the plastic on there. God help anybody who tries to use acetone to clean any of these. Do not do that. Alright, let's double check the condition of our woofer here. Feels good. The coil on the inside still looks nice and coppery. And it doesn't smell bad. So woofer passes all of our checks. I think that's going to be my first t-shirt design that I sell. Is going to be just a shirt with like a HomePod subwoofer on it. And it's going to have the three tests for your HomePod subwoofer. Feel, look, and smell. I'm going to come up with something like that. And sure, only a handful only a handful of people will probably buy it. But that's not what matters. Do I ever use thermal cameras to look for shorts? I actually just got myself a thermal camera. This is my first thermal camera. It's the Cat S62 Pro. It's got the thermal camera built into it. And, I just got it a few days ago, so I haven't really had a whole lot of time yet to play with it with any of my existing parts that I have sitting around waiting for repairs. But in the past, I've just used isopropyl rubbing alcohol or flux and smeared it all over the board until I find what starts to bubble and react. Pretty rudimentary, but it worked until I coughed up the dough for this phone with the thermal camera built in. So we'll see if it ends up helping me find shorts. Yeah, I think I don't know if you watch Northridge Repair, that YouTube channel. I think he claims to be the first channel to sort of popularize the idea of using a thermal camera to find shorts. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I remember watching plenty of his videos where he takes out his big FLIR gun and uses that to find shorts. And ever since I saw that, I really wanted to get my hands on a thermal camera. Not just for finding shorts, but all sorts of things. Oh, see, this is what happens when I talk instead of pay attention to my repairs here. I end up putting it back together without actually doing anything yet. And no one was gonna stop me either. You guys were gonna just let me put this thing back together without doing anything to it. Oh, no, I'm not blaming you. There could be nobody watching and I could be just rambling, old man yelling at sky. And I would still do it to myself. Oh, you use it to build batteries. Interesting. I'm curious how you do that. Not sure what you mean. Be free. Alright, now before we do any repairs on this guy, let's go ahead and power it on the bench here so we can get a rough idea as to exactly how much DC offset this amplifier is pumping out into this poor little subwoofer. Just so we have an idea of what exactly we're trying to, well, a few reasons. We want to confirm that that's our problem, and we also want to see if after our repairs if there's any improvement. See if we can get that final DC measurement on our multimeter reduced from what it currently is to a much safer level. Alright, do we have a good connection on our meter here? Yes, we do. Let's power it up and see what she's got. Before I seal it, I check to make sure I have no minor shorts or any kind. I do a combo of spot and soldering on my... Okay, I see. That makes sense. Oh, Nally. We gotta jump up to the 2-volt DC scale now. So, my God. Are you seeing this? That is full voltage right there. That is a full DC volts. 1.2, 1.23. Oh my God. I bet you if we leave this plugged in for another minute or so, this will probably fart on us. Wow. And check out the popping sound it makes when we play with the woofer connector here. And watch the woofer move. That is why you don't want DC on your woofer. Eddie says, save my HomePod. I think we're gonna let it self-destruct here. I'm just kidding. Oh, that is a pop. Let's fix. Let's fix. The HomePod didn't ask to die like this. Okay, so here's the plan of attack here. Let's go ahead and get nice and real close here. So these 4 capacitors, actually I'll go ahead and just really quickly explain the layout of the amplifier here. So this is your DAC. This is what takes the digital audio signal from the logic board and converts it to an analog audio signal. And then it goes through all of these parts before it hits the main amplifier. And this is what takes the weak analog audio signal from the digital to analog converter, and it beefs that up. It makes it a really powerful AC audio signal so that you can actually hear the speakers. The problem lies right here in these 4 capacitors, these big chunky boys right here. And over time, these tend to lose their effectiveness at filtering the DC that's inherently part of any audio amplifier circuit. So Normally these are supposed to remove any DC before this audio signal is passed through to the amplifier, and the amplifier, it's just going to amplify anything it's given, DC, AC, or otherwise. All it does is it takes what it's given and it amplifies it. So if it's got DC in that audio signal, it's going to amplify that too. So we're going to go ahead and replace these capacitors so that hopefully we see no more than 50 millivolts on our meter here going into the woofer. That is a really safe target, whereas anything higher than 50 millivolts is generally considered not preferred. A couple hundred millivolts or more, like we see here, almost reaching 2 volts, that's definitely enough to do damage long term to your woofer. It's going to make your amplifier work harder than it needs to, and it's going to just start popping things, start firing stuff. So we're going to replace these 4 capacitors, get rid of that DC offset, and then while we have this apart, we are also going to replace that power diode right here. Just because it works fine doesn't mean that it's going to continue working fine for much longer. So while we've got it apart, we're going to go ahead and replace this diode so that way Eddie here doesn't have to worry about no power issues for a long time. So we're going to first go ahead and get those capacitors replaced. So let's do that now. Get ourselves all situated. Get nice and close to those bad boys. I love it. And let's begin. Oh, I'm actually going to preheat the other side of this board real quick. There we go, that should be enough. And then these guys should pretty much start just popping right off. Oh no, you can't see. There we go. How'd you like those cool moves? Okay. So, we're gonna apply some flux onto that board. And then we're gonna grab our soldering iron, and we're going to use some of that low temp solder here, so that way when we go to put these new capacitors on, they don't have to go through as much heat for that solder to suck them into place. All right. Sufficient soldering, or sufficient solder has been applied. Let's grab some fresh new caps. Put a little more flux on there for the first set of pads and start plopping these new boys on. No, don't play games. I'm not in the mood for games. Oh, lovely. Beautiful, beautiful. Alright, let's flip this around and get that power diode replaced. And then we'll be ready for a test. A testaroo. A pop quiz. A pop quiz. Get it? Because we're quizzing the amp to see if it pops. Yeah? Pop quiz? Yeah, we got a lol out of Henry. Thank you, Henry. Hey, thank you, Henry's buddy. I'm glad you appreciate my jokes. I try real hard. Alright, let's give this just a second to cool down. We don't want our DC offset test here to be too far thrown off from heat on those caps. Ooh, very hot. Careful. Gotta be careful there. Easy. Use the thermal camera. Where is that bad boy? So that's the spot on our mat where we were soldering. That coil right there is still pretty, really hot. $165. How hot's the mat right there? Still 190. Wow. Yeah, it feels like it. And then you've got this nice cool spot on here. Yeah, that is pretty much cool to the touch. Interesting. Yeah, these FLIR cameras are freaking awesome. That's where my feet were. That's where my hand was getting up. It's just insane. Yeah. Cool stuff. Well, not literally cool, but far out, man. Heavy. Heavy. Why do I keep hearing everybody use the word heavy? Is something wrong with the gravitational force of the Earth in the future? I don't know, something like that. Back to the Future quote. Good to see if anyone touched the cookie jar. Yep. All right, ready for test. All right, so we didn't break anything. It still powers on. That's good. Well, I'm sure in the 80s and 90s, people were using the term heavy much more often than people these days use it. It's a very old school term. Okay. All right. Are we ready? I'm not ready. I think I'm gonna wait here for a few minutes. I'm just kidding. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Oh. Yeah. And if we unplug this and plug it in a few times, no popping. Excellent. Very good, very good. Yay! Somebody play the wow sound effect. Wow. Time for reassembly. I would be shocked if Apple ever lets any of their in-house repairs at the store get to the level of board repair like this. I can see Apple stores training their employees to do part swaps, like if instead of replacing just the parts on the amp that failed, just replacing the whole amplifier. But the reason why they probably don't repair these speakers is once you crack it open, there's a lot that you have to replace to make it back to like Apple spec per se, right? Apple isn't going to just throw these back together without putting the glue back on. They're going to want to glue it back together, right? And then the rubber foot on the bottom of the HomePod, that's also stuck on with adhesive. That's one-time use only. So there's a couple of consumable parts, and also that rubber foot on the bottom has a serial number on it. So you can't just bring a HomePod into the Apple store and have someone repair it and replace parts on it without having parts with, like, I don't know, would they reprint the same serial number onto that replacement part and send it, or yeah, I don't know. But I see a lot of reasons why they wouldn't want these being repaired in store, even if they offered repairs for these. It doesn't, doesn't go without saying like they can't do it, but I see enough reasons for Apple themselves to steer far away from doing it. But I would love, oh man, I would love to see the tools and the processes that they take to diagnose these speakers. I wonder if they just, whenever they get one in for repair, if they just rip the rubber foot off the bottom, plug it into the debug port, and then just run diagnostics on a PC, and just basically determine whether the unit's faulty or not. And then from there, they just determine whether they're sending the customer a replacement or not. And that's probably as far as they get with HomePods that are sent into them for repair. They probably break them down from there, recycle them for the raw materials, and throw the rest in the trash. Right? Because, like, if you look under this basket, there are places where I could see a tool would come in this way and then sort of like grab it like this and then just pull it straight off with no effort whatsoever. There's markings in here for where a tool would go to do that. Plenty of good spots for that. It's really unfortunate that the HomePod came too soon and the Apple self-service repair program came too late. Otherwise, we may have possibly seen parts and tools for these guys. And what else sucks is, like, if somebody comes into the Apple store and you work for Apple, and they're like, hey, I've got a HomePod, it's like 2 weeks out of warranty and it suddenly stopped powering on, you can't tell them, like, hey, we can't repair this, we can only replace it for full price for you. You can't tell them, hey, go check out this website or go check out this video if you want to try to fix it yourself. You'll get beamed. They'll bean you. I'm sure some people still do it and they get away with it, no problem, but I mean, if Apple knew about it, then they would certainly not be happy. They don't change serial number, they would reassign it in the system as replacement issued. So here's my scenario, right? I bring a HomePod in for repair, and let's say hypothetically Apple was able to actually repair HomePods. The serial number is printed on the bottom of this rubber foot. When they take this rubber foot off to do any sort of diagnostics through the debug port, are they scraping this old adhesive off and reusing this rubber foot? Or are they replacing the rubber foot with a new one with a new serial number, and then they reprogram the HomePod for that new serial number? Or do the replacement rubber foots just have no serial number on them, and it's just like a factory refurbished or part or whatever, and that's what you get? That's what I'm curious about. You wouldn't do any Frankensteins at all, you would send it to remake it. That's what I figured. There's so much research and development that went into these things. And then it cost them so much per unit to manufacture, and then they just drop it like that. It's like their star child, and they didn't get as much attention as they had hoped, so they put the kid up for adoption or something. They stopped caring about him. That's so sad. Like, wouldn't it be cool if at least you could, like, if Apple at least, like, auctioned off, like, their old parts and stuff? Like, parts that would have no chance of having any sort of customer data, right? Like cosmetic parts, for example. Like, I would pay money for, like, a pallet of these replacements. But nope, they stick them in the grinder and they chuck them in the trash. It's not necessarily that like a Frankenstein device is like inherently hit or miss. It's that you start introducing more variables too, like taking a used part from one thing with unknown history and use, and putting it into another product that's also got more unknown history of use and abuse. And you've just basically combined your two separate risks together into one big giant collection of risks. So it makes perfect sense that Apple, among other companies, wouldn't want to do like Frankenstein devices for repairs. Makes total sense. Wait, so you're telling me you actually have seen this? Oh, we have a machine that extracts and disassembles most of the electronics. So is this like a machine that pretty much covers most of their devices, or is this a machine specifically for the HomePod? Also, Daisy's a fun name to give a machine that is tearing the world apart, one device at a time. Every device has a Daisy. Oh my god. That's a sentence I thought I'd never see. I think I've actually seen these machines before that you're talking about. I haven't seen any taking apart HomePod specifically. And I'm such a nerd for these HomePods that I would pay a lot of money just to see what Apple does with these from the inside. Even if it's just tearing them apart for recycling. I'm very curious. So maybe one of your buddies from work knows another buddy from work that might know another buddy from work that might have access to the firmware, the IPSW files for the OG HomePods. Wink, wink. Finally get a way to fix those blinking volume buttons. Apple would almost certainly have a way to trace where that came from, and they would almost certainly lose their job. What's so dumb is like I said, for the ones with blinking volume buttons, all they would have to do to repair those is rip the rubber foot off the bottom, plug their adapter into it, and restore the firmware on there. And the thing works again. And then all they would have to do is glue the rubber foot back on. But nope, even for those that are that simple to fix and it's purely just a software issue, they chuck them. They grind them up. We'd get downgraded from employee to customer. So sad. Oh, you know what? We are dyeing the mesh on this one. I just forgot. So, oh, well, we might as well put it back on for now, and then when I finally have running water again, then we will take the mesh back off and get it nice and colored up. It only takes me a few minutes to take the mesh back off anyways, so it's no big deal if we put this all the way back together for now. Yeah, Eddie, we've got, I grabbed a couple of bottles of the red, so we're going to do one of them red, and then we're going to do the other one dark blue. Both of those colors are going to do better at hiding dirt and such than the white, for sure. But those are also the only two colors I think that would really hide dirt well. Oh, Henry, you haven't seen the colored HomePods yet? Oh boy, you're in for a treat. Let me go grab it. It's gonna look pretty orange in this lighting, but here's old red. And like I say many times, I've said many times by now, in person, you would swear this was like a product red HomePod. But this is the plan. When I have running water again, Eddie here would like one of his HomePods dyed red just like this. And then we've also got a dark blue that we're going to try out too. And if the dark blue doesn't turn out, well then I've got another bottle of red and we'll do both red. But I have a good feeling about the dark blue. Your HomePods are in no better the hands than mine. So I for the cap, while I was already dyeing the mesh on my HomePod, I just dunked the white top in a couple of times, and it immediately took. It seems after like the first coat, it didn't take any more color, so what you get is pretty much what you get. But it paired really nicely with the red around the rest of the mesh. Yeah, you really lucked out, Eddie. If that eBay seller sold you that HomePod at a bricked HomePod price, and you got yourself a working HomePod, that's a heck of a deal. You talking about a sandstone? Sandstone is a really good color. It's almost like a like a gold kinda. All right, let's check this bad boy out real fast. Make sure we didn't mess anything up here. Yeah, that sandstone's a nice color. I saw it at the store and I'd contemplated picking it up and trying it out on one of mine. But I'm running low on white meshes that are good candidates for doing dyes at the moment, so haven't been able to experiment with other colors very much yet. All right.
I'm having trouble connecting to the internet.
I'm sure you are.
I'm having trouble.
But you've got everything in proper working order. So this one's ready to go. All right. Now we've got, well, we technically have two more, but actually we've only got one more. And that would be this one from yesterday. Just a second. Okay. So here's the logic board from the black HomePod. And here's the logic board from the white HomePod that we thought was bricked. So what we're going to do, for the white HomePod that's got the cracked top that you're giving me, I'm going to put its logic board into your black one, because we thought that the black one had the blinking volume buttons issue. It didn't, but I'm not 100% convinced that just because it works fine now, I'm not 100% convinced that it's not going to experience the same problem relatively soon. So here's what we're going to do, Eddie. We're going to take the logic board, like I said, out of the cracked one that you're giving me, since we know that logic board is good. And we're going to put that into your black one. So that way we don't have to worry about the fact that this previously had blinking volume buttons. It's kind of sketchy. I'm kind of confused. Generally, an eBay seller wouldn't sell something like a HomePod, describing it as having blinking volume buttons if it really didn't. So I do believe that this probably had that issue at some point, but I'm going to stick this on one of my test benches, leave it powered on long term, and see if maybe it eventually craps out or not. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and crack open this HomePod, and we're going to just check it for any DC offset, and we're going to get the power diode replaced as well. Yeah, or maybe he gave you the wrong one. That's entirely possible. But I wouldn't be asking. I would take it for what it is and count myself lucky. Yeah, exactly. I have had people tell me that they've had the blinking volume buttons issue, and then it'll suddenly fix itself. But generally speaking, in those cases, everybody has eventually followed up with me saying that it would eventually end up with the blinking volume buttons again. So that is why this is the route that we will take. Alright, we got all those screws out, ribbon cables detached. Is it going to be an easy one for us? I think so. Seems to be taking the flathead really well. Not giving us too many complaints here. Ooh, yeah. Very nice pop. This might be the easiest one yet. Yeah! Nick, it's time. I gotta go. Have a good one, Eddie. Thanks for dropping by. The last screw's making me work. Oh. Woofer check. Feels good. Looks good. Smells great. Everything checks out. Oh boy. The reveal. Alright. Let's put this together on the bench here, and we'll do our usual checks. And if we don't find any issues, then we'll just replace that power diode on there for good measure. Curious to see if this has any DC offset or if it's clean as a whistle. I don't think whistles have any DC offset issues, but you know what I mean? Alright, here she goes. All right. Not a bad result there of 0 millivolts. Pretty good. Pretty fantastic. So let's get that diode replaced for, like I said, just for preventative measures. And I think we'll be all done for the day. Oh, getting ahead of ourselves here. Let's get that diode replaced real fast. Alright. Oh, now it's ready to go back together. Let's just give this one last check, and we'll be all done here.
Your HomePod is about to reset. Keep pressing until you hear 3 beeps.
Very nice. We'll give that a chance to factory reset here. Alright. That'll do it. Well, folks, got everything we needed to fixed up today. Hope you all enjoyed today's live stream repairs. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them down in the comments. Down there, I think. I've also got my website up there, nixfix.com. I've got plenty of information about all the common repairs that I do here on the channel, as well as most of the parts that I use for doing those repairs. If you want to send yours in for repair to be featured on the channel here, then my email address is also on my website. Shoot me a message. In any case, hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye!